The hall of silver glass was built for silence light, poured from the high crystal arches, and washed over thousands of watching faces. Nobles in flowing white stood along the curved walls. Commanders in dark armor formed rigid lines near the central dais. Scholars hovered behind translucent screens filled with spirals of glowing kodat. The center of it all stood one human captain, Daniel. Reyes kept his shoulders straight and his hands relaxed at his sides. He wore a simple black uniform with no medals and no weapon. He had agreed to come without resistance. He had agreed to stand alone across from him. Upon a living throne shaped from pale crystal vines sat Queen Alari of Varel. Her presence felt like gravity. Her eyes shimmered violet and silver. When she breathed, the hall seemed to breathe with her. Between them floated a vertical column of light. Within it turned strands of intertwined genetic data. One strand glowed blue with human markers, the other shimmered silver-violet with Varelian design. They twisted around each other in perfect alignment. The chief genetic scholar stepped forward. His long fingers trembled as he adjusted the projection. "The analysis is complete," he said. "The paternal sequence aligns with the human. Known as Daniel Reyes. Compatibility is absolute. There is no error." Silence deepened. 3 months earlier, a Varelian exploration vessel had drifted, broken, near the edge of human territory. Daniel had commanded the rescue ship that answered the distress call. Among the injured had been Princess Lyeri, only daughter of the Queen Varelian. Physiology struggled in human atmospheric balance. Human medicine stabilized her. For 2 weeks, she remained aboard the human vessel. Daniel had visited her daily. He had spoken of Earth, of oceans that never froze, of cities that glittered through the night, of people who adapted to an ethic. Alari had listened with fierce curiosity. She had asked about music, about laughter, about how humans endured pain, and kept moving. Somewhere between shared stories and quiet hours, something fragile had grown. Not strategy, not politics, something human. When her people arrived, she had touched his hand before departing. That single touch had carried warmth deeper than language. Now, warships from Varel filled the orbit above Earth, not firing, waiting. Queen Alari rose slowly from her throne. Her gown shimmered like starlight across still water. She descended the steps and approached the glowing column. "You understand what this means?" she asked, her voice carried without effort. Daniel met her gaze. "Yes, Your Majesty, you stand accused of altering the royal bloodline. I stand responsible for my choices," he replied. Ripple moved through the noble's. "Responsibility was not the same as guilt. Did you force my daughter?" the queen asked. "No." "Did you deceive her, Node? Did you know the consequence?" "I knew there would be consequence. I did not know there would be fear." The word fear lingered. A commander stepped forward. "The purity of the royal line safeguards our future." Daniel turned slightly toward him. "Your future depends on survival, not isolation." Murmurs rose sharper. "Nautha." Scholar lifted a trembling hand. "The hybrid genome shows accelerated cellular repair, enhanced neural response, expanded environmental tolerance. It is not degradation, it is advancement, or corruption." Another noble hissed. Side doors of the hall opened. Princess Lyari entered without escort. She wore a simple flowing garment of pale silver. One hand rested over the subtle curve of her abdomen. Every eye turned. She walked to Daniel and stood beside him. "I summoned him," she said. "The choice was mine." The queen studied her daughter. "You risk the stability of an empire. Risk stagnation," Lyari answered. She faced the assembly. "We have not evolved in 1,000 cycles. Our immune systems weaken. Our adaptation slows. We watch humanity expand across hostile systems and survive." She gestured toward Daniel. "They bend without breaking. They combine cultures and blood and ideas. They grow stronger from difference. The child I carry holds both strengths, say Commander spoke with controlled anger. Or holds divided loyalty. Daniel finally stepped forward. Child is not divided by love. He said, a child grows where love is given. He looked across the chamber. Humans once feared losing identity. We mixed nations, we crossed oceans, we blended languages. Each time someone predicted collapse, each time we became more resilient. Queen Ilari moved closer to her daughter. Her expression shifted from sovereign to mother-do. You love him? She asked, quietly. Yes. Liari answered without hesitation. The queen turned to Daniel. Do you love her? Yes. The word carried no tremor. The queen closed her eyes. The hall seemed suspended in fragile balance. When she opened them, something had changed. The hardness within them had softened. She faced the assembly. The DNA results are undeniable. The child within my daughter carries the blood of Virel, and earth whispers, burst, then fell silent beneath her raised hand. You see threat, I see alliance. She descended fully from the dais and stood before Denudla. Ah, my daughter's father. Human. The hall was shocked. This time restraint shattered. Voices rose in layered tones, disbelief, anger, uncertainty. A single word cut through every sound. The law binds the throne to my lineage. My daughter remains heir. Her child will follow Hera. Noble protested. The father is alien, then let our empire learn to stand beside aliens, the queen replied. She regarded Daniel carefully. Niel. He lowered himself onto one knee, not in submission but in respect. By my authority, I name you consort to the crown princess. You will answer for your actions. You will defend my daughter and her child with your life. You will serve as bridge between our civilizations. Daniel lifted his eyesight. Would do so without Tatule. Faint hint of approval touched the queen's expression rise. Daniel Reyes of Earth he Studiari reached for his hand openly now. No secrecy, no shame. The scholar deactivated the genetic display. The luminous strands faded, yet their meaning lingered in every mind above the transparent ceiling. Stars burned in distant silence. Human ships and Varelian warships remained in tense orbit. Weapons powered, yet unfired inside. The whole history shifted. Queen Ilari addressed her people once more. We can retreat into fear, or we can choose growth. She looked at her daughter, and at the human beside her. Today, we choose growth. Commanders exchanged uncertain glances. Some nobles lowered their eyes, others studied Daniel with reluctant curiosity. Change had entered their empire in human form. It would not be easily. Removet Liari squeezed Daniel's hand. There will be resistance, she murmured. There always is, he replied, but there will also be a child who belongs to two worlds. He imagined a future where their son or daughter walked through both human cities and Varelian crystal halls without hesitation. A future where genetic difference was not scandal, but strength. The queen stepped closer to them both. You understand, she said, that this path will test you. Yes, your majesty, Daniel answered. Liari nodded. The queen placed a hand over her daughter's, and then over Daniel's. Then we face it together. Beyond the hall, the waiting fleets received the transmission. No declaration of war, no demand for surrender. Instead, a simple message: alliance confirmed across human channels. Relief rippled outward. Across Varelian networks, debate ignited, yet no weapons fired. The hall of silver glass had been built for silence now. It carried the first steady heartbeat of transformation. Nobles began to bow, not in full agreement, but an acknowledgement of decree. Commanders straightened and accepted the shift in command structure. Scholars whispered excitedly about evolutionary potential. Daniel felt the weight of expectation settle onto his shoulders. He was no longer only a captain. He was symbol and bridge and Riskery leaned closer. You afraid? She asked softly. Yes, he admitted. She smiled. Gently so, and my fear did not weaken them. It clarified what mattered. High above the palace ceiling, a shooting star crossed the violet sky. Perhaps debris, perhaps omen. Queen Alari watched it fade. History will remember this day, she said, not as the day we were diminished, but as the day we chose to become more. Daniel stood beside his future wife and felt the truth of that settle within him too. Species had collided in suspicion now. They stood on the edge of unity. The hall was no longer silent from Shakit was silent because an empire was thinking, and in that thoughtful silence, the future quietly began. Asterisk.